Hey everyone, I'm going to give a quick deck profile of my 19th place LA Regionals Mathmech deck. Before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to Core TCG having an amazing event. To all my opponents yesterday, Rudy, Adam, Licia, Edgar, Gregory, Shad, Kyle, Peter, and Giovanni. You guys were amazing people to play with. It was my first time at an LA Regionals at a top tables. Quite nervous, seeing as it could be quite competitive up there. They were very chill, great sportsmanship. I do truly respect them. Really had fun at the tournament yesterday. Without further ado, let's get started. The deck consists of 3 Mathmech Circular, 3 Diameter, 3 Subtraction, 3 Addition, and 2 Sigma. This is the package overall I felt comfortable with playing. I tried the Parallel Exceed package, and then unfortunately it just it was breaking a lot, especially with situations where you have no follow-up and you can't parallel, and or my experience when I was playtesting in the past weeks, I'll summon this parallel and then it'll just actually would trajectory effect special from the deck. The this here, I think 3 of is mandatory, just because the more names you have in Mathmech, the better. Sigma throughout the entire tournament, it was being DD crowed or belled. It was quite difficult, but if you have another Mathmech name in your hand, it just resolves really well. For some odd reason, no one ever ashed this, but they actually had a version. I feel like definitely ashing this, hurting me to search into the Super Factorial was quite important. Just because if I have Super Factorial, you can still have follow-up in your hand that causes quite the conundrum for you to, with the situation where you have the Super Factorial face down and you could just pop off in your opponent's turn. But yeah, during games 2 and 3, if I need be, I'll side out 2 of these in the Silent Mining. Smaller card pool, so Silent Minings work phenomenally. And then overall, with the ratio, I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't run this at 3. I think I saw this way too many times in my hand when I had Circular in hand, so it was just extra fodder to discard whenever possible. The hand triple line that consisted of was 3 Ash, 2 Nibiru, 2 Valor, 2 Crow, and then the MVPs was Eccentric and Skullmeister. Skullmeister not for the effect, but for its level 4. There were many times where I drew Sigma, Ash, DD Crow, Valor, and Skullmeister and Sigma, so I'll just special Sigma, normal this, overlay and talent version, and get Circular and pop off there. Opponents caught opponents off guard quite easily at those times. But Eccentric, I think, is the winner of the tournament this weekend. I think having to resolve her effect multiple times throughout the day was phenomenal, especially against Runix. And even just normal summoning it when it had full combo and beating out, beating out one of the sprite effects for Totally Awesome, Totally Awesome Tribute just negate. Did wonders for me. DD Crow did really well to snap out cards when I was going into. When they're trying to go into combo, like Run and Totem, snap to Run and Totem after banishing, and then Valor and Nibiru were just MVPs overall. From my experience, this ratio for me worked really well, especially since I run the small roll package. So typically I would already go into my situation saying getting 2 of these were gone, and then for the small roll package, so 1-on-1's perfectly fine. I do also run the heat cell, so if I draw into these, even better. This card was like basically stuck to my hand at that entire tournament. I was very happy. I drew into 1 with heat cell, or I basically had one at the starting point. Unfortunately, during my round 8 matchup, 2 of these were in my hand at the starting point. I was deck check, and I just shuffled an extra power shuffle before starting the game. But yeah, I think overall these are really great. Runic matchups, I'll definitely side these out and then add all more trap cards. And then yeah, so these did really well. I prefer the 2 ratio over the 3 ratio just because the less bricks you have in your deck, the better, and the more synergy with Small World as well. Going into spells, I have 3 Forbidden Droplets, 3 Silent Minings, 2 Small World, Call by, and Equation. This did really well. I knew going into the tournament I needed some sort of kind of not board breaker, but just kind of like something that just reduces the board to have lethal amount of damage, especially if you're going for the double attack access code. So this did really well. Silent Mining. Small World was probably the most used card, most utilized spell card in my deck, just because I search into Centric or search into Circular, and it helped overall with basically getting my my deck going. During certain matchups, if I do set up this addition subtraction, I set out one of these just because 3 of these in the deck with smaller Mathmech count is very bad. Runic matchups, I side out these with the 2 Nibiru's and 2 Veilers, but I kept the Eccentric just because it just pops a card in the field. I only saw this card twice. Resolved once, and then the other time I was just drawing 2 with Heat Soul, so I just didn't really do anything. Forbidden Droplet, most of the time always sided out 1, just because the matchups were kind of in a situation where I had more of a trap back row heavy, so I just kept 2 of them in the deck. There goes this. And then for the trap lineup, it was 3 Imperm, Induction, and Super Factorial. I feel like if you're not running Desires, 1 is perfectly fine. If you do run Desires, run 2. Induction was a great clutch card, especially if you already have a Super Factorial in your hand. Searching for this gives you a lot more leeway in the field, just because it sends itself and destroys a card, which is awesome. I didn't run Desires this tournament with the fear of running into Runic. And then that was my fears were answered because I played against 2 Runics back to back, and so I was grateful that I didn't run the Desires at all. I don't think Desires is very necessary in this deck. It's more of a win more card, but I think with if you know your matchup and if you can basically kind of understand, you know, what your opponent is trying to go into, you can definitely not run into Desires and it'll be totally fine. So that moving forward into the extra deck. Extra deck is 1 Loplation, 2 Alimbertion, Yell Mirage, Link Variable, Link Spire from Link 1s, IP, Double Splash Mage, Update Jammer from Link 2s, Transcode Heat Soul from Link 3s, and the Link 4 package was the Abramax, IP, and then Access Code. Unfortunately, she underperformed to my expectations. I knew coming into this tournament it wasn't going to do really well, and it didn't. I would have preferred this to be a Nightmare Unicorn, just because since I'm running the Heat Soul package, I already have a +1 draw during my opponent's turn, so that draw can lead into basically just the discard. And 9 times out of 10, I'll draw something that I may not need, or it's an extender like Sigma. If I just Sigma, if I have IP on board with this with Decode, I'll just basically go into Nightmare and discard the Sigma, and then yeah, I'm definitely gonna change this to Nightmare Unicorn. Abramax, I wasn't able to fully utilize it just because this is my answer to Chalamance. It did really well in locals. The only out to this from my experience is the Chaos Goddess of the Underworld. So I wasn't able to use this. AVP all day, you know, this just ends the game. If you're running double if you're running double Super Factorial, I'll definitely link up Link Spider for the Loplation or the extra Splash Mage. I think I use this multiple times throughout the day. I really like the second Splash Mage just because it gives you an extra extender. This is just your answer to Nibiru if you get Nibiru. This you can take off depending on the situation in your locals or at your tournament, if you know there's going to be a lot of Nibirus going around. But yeah, I feel like all these cards are utilized throughout the entire tournament with the exception of Appaloosa. I use every single card, even Lingerible during my round 8 matchup. During my round 9 matchup, they said Tri-Brigade Revolt. I just went into hard Lingerible and they just scoped. Side deck goes into Bell, Firecracker, Double Cyclone, Duster, Triple Judgment, a Pointer, Magic Deflector, and the Red Reboot. I think the overall card that the cards I didn't use at all this tournament probably these 2. I was very worried about how time rules were going to be this format. So from my experience, always have a burn card in your deck and to help you, especially since this is a small world. You can search it with small world. Red Reboot, I didn't even draw it. And I decided I didn't draw it. From my experience, Magic Deflector had some opportunity. Unfortunately, I wasn't too familiar with the effect. Moving forward, now that I'm familiar with it, because during my running matchup, I had this face down and I drew 2 Harpies. I should just activated this, or just activate this. They would have chained, and I would have just chained this, and then I would have just completely won me the game there. But yeah, so yeah, this if you don't know, Magic Deflector. For the rest of this turn, negate all equip field, continuous, and quick play spell cards on the field. Doesn't stop normal spell cards from resolving. Pointer during the running matchup was exceptionally well, especially if you do the Loplation combo, rip the field, rip the hand. So having this face down is such a clutch effect because you basically rip the card out and then you just have the you still have follow-up, which is really great. Ghost spells, I cited it when I needed to. Judgments, pointers were all going first cards. I cited some Cyclones when I played against Sprite just because I was fearing the Sprite quick play spells going off on my turn. But yeah, I'm grateful for all my opponents this weekend, especially when we were my opponents later on in the rounds when we were basically on time clutch. I didn't see a reason to side into this. That's because I think this is more of like if you know your opponent's trying to slow play or you're trying to get to a situation where you have not much time left, you smalled into this and then you proceed to shotgun it whenever you can. Judgment did phenomenal. Magical Barrier, if I knew how it worked, I think it would have done phenomenally well. Harpy Sword Duster, when I can activate it, I'll activate it. When I can't, oh well. And then the Ghost Spells is Ghost Spells. You really can't say how she does otherwise. Overall, I really feel like this deck's quite phenomenally well. I think with this format, how it is right now, Mathmech is probably one of the best contenders against the top 2 decks. I would say top 3 with the Runix round. But yeah, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and ask them in the comments below. And peace.